you die.
This brings us to our next question, which comes from Jonathan in New York, which I assume is Jonathan Dornbush.
Yeah.
Thanks, JD.
And he says, I really like how your show, Game Scoop, balances video game information and fun. Please keep up the good work.
Oh.
Question, do you guys think Pokemon Go will be popular for months, years, or decades?
Months.
Those are the three options.
Yeah. I mean, years depending on. So there's 150 Pokemon in there right now, right? And there's 700 something in Pokemon lore. I was suggesting that they could do something like a 8-bit sprite pack, basically, where you would go out and find the same ones you have already, except they're based on the old Game Boy sprites.
That'd be cool.
There's a lot of opportunity to do stuff like that. I think there's going to be a lot of like marketing opportunities. There's going to be if you look at Pokemon, it's always been sustainable because Nintendo did weird things like, hey, this Toys R Us has this Pokemon, he's rare here, or this time thing's happening here. People are already digging into the code and finding words like McDonald's, and there's sponsorship opportunities popping in there. So I think it's going to be there for a while. Also, I don't think it'll drop off as fast as the other games have. So even while the craziest Pokemon fans in the world might have moved on, casual gamers who are late to everything will still get to it eventually. So I think at the very least we're going to see this thing kicking around for at least another.
Yeah, I mean,
4,
to
5,
say
6
decades
months.
would be just weird because I don't know if any of this is going to be around in decades.
Sure.
We'll all be dead.
Yeah, we'll all be dead. But there's so many, like, this is such a bare bones game right now. There are so many features that they can add, from social features to trading to battles going more in depth to, you know.
They shipped like the minimally viable product,
and it's still working for people.
Yeah.
So, I don't see this. This isn't going to be like Words with Friends or Draw Something,
and
where
it's-
after 2 weeks we're going to stop talking
There's
about it.
undeniably a fad aspect to it, right?
Yes,
Like
totally.
it's at this weird, crazy peak where it literally is taking over cities in a way that's totally going to fall off. But the McDonald's thing is like right now the only way you can make money in that game, or that Niantic Labs, the developer, can make money is just, you buy coins and you spend them on stuff in the game, but they'll be sponsored Pokestops, like every McDonald's
Also,
or every whatever, like every Starbucks.
Can't you buy lures to lure Pokemon too?
Yeah.
Well, you can buy coins. And
You buy
with
coins and you
can
spend them
buy
on
coins.
objects in the game. But I'm saying like maybe they can give you like that premium stuff by going to a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like there's
Well, it's easier to give this game money than it was, say, Miitomo, for example.
Yeah.
Miitomo, you had to actively dig around to be like, how do I pay you? Like, I want that Zelda costume. How do I get that?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, if every McDonald's was like, hey, if you check in at us, you get a lure.
Yeah.
Like that's something huge.
Yeah, or buy something like scan your receipt.
Did you guys see that T-Mobile story yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're unlimited data for a full year for Pokemon Go.
For just that one app?
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, and
That
they
app
actually
won't count against your data limit.
you get a
Interesting.
real life electric rat that you get to bring
Yeah,
home.
they send you a dead Pikachu.
I think Pokemon's this interesting thing because it's never just been the video games. Like the anime was hugely popular,
Card
and
game.
and the card game is hugely popular. So it's like
it's still popular in its like digital form.
I mean,
right?
all three of those things still are. So it's this crazy intersection of like, there's some people that really like all of it. Like they play the card game and watch the cartoon and play the games. But then there's also a huge chunk of people that only play the video games, or a huge chunk of people that only watch the cartoon and didn't have any exposure to even the games. And so now this app hits everyone, and it hits people that don't even care about Pokemon.
Well, so that's the question, though. Like, is this going to be the rising tide lifts all ships type of situation where Nintendo's putting out 2 new Pokemon games this fall, right?
Yeah.
How much of a boost will we see off of that?
They're going to release those new Pokemon. I mean, my guess is that they won't go Gen 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll go Gen 1, and then the new ones will hit this app next.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how many Pokemon Go players, I mean, even if it's 1 out of 100... 1 out of 1,000 Pokemon Go players buys a 3DS and the new Pokemon game for the first time.
Yeah.
That's a huge bump. There's millions of people playing this game right now, so that's a significant bump. We likely won't see conversion numbers like that, but for the most part, that's a good way to keep the franchise sustainable for a very long time.
And it's keeping the name Pokemon in the media. And, Niantic Labs can do things like, I mean, if something starts trailing off, they could be like Double XP Weekend, or hey, we flicked a switch and now some of those rare Pokemon are appearing in your city.
There's so much low-hanging fruit. Like, there's no friends list in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of not a great game. Like, it's good for what it is, but like no trading, no friends list. Like, if it's really going to be made or broken by the pace and quality of the updates. Like, if they come out frequently and it's the stuff that people ask for and want, if they're able to iterate on it and say new version, and they've promised that, but lots of people promise that, then it's kind of, they find out it's harder in practice. If they're able to really deliver on that, then it's totally going to have a sustained level. Like, it's going to fade to like a dull roar.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are reading this as a great sign for Nintendo.
Although it's not.
So I want to get to this. It's a great sign of Nintendo's mobile future, mobile strategy. But yeah, I want to point out, Nintendo did not make this game. Nintendo did not publish this game. It's published by the Pokemon
Their logo's
company.
not on it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the second screen. It's actually in the bottom. It says copyright Nintendo. Yeah.
They're a stakeholder in the Pokemon company.
But they're winning all of the praise, accolades, and
That's what I'm saying.
mind share off of this because I think that it's, I don't know, to me it's kind of like when that Batman game, or what was it?
Batman.
Which Batman? The one that Rocksteady didn't do.
Arkham Origins?
Yeah.
Origins, yeah.
I mean, they kind of buried the lead on that wasn't a Rocksteady game, and I think to the average casual Batman fan walking into a store, they're like, new Batman game, and they went home and they played it, and I don't think they put the average thing together. Most people would just assume that Nintendo knocked it out the park again with the Pokemon franchise, and really they didn't have a ton of involvement with this.
Yeah, it was the Pokemon Company. It was the Pokemon Company and Niantic Labs, and the Pokemon Company is not Nintendo. Nintendo only owns a portion of it.
Yeah, even reading interviews about Miyamoto's involvement, he basically just came on stage and was just like, there is this new thing, everyone enjoy. And they were like, well, did he work with you guys closely? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
This is us.
Yeah, you mentioned Tomo. That fell off real fast.
Yeah.
That was Nintendo's first mobile app.
Yeah.
And I mean, people are like, Pokemon Go is going to fall off. It's not going to be sustained. And I'm like, well, maybe, but that's the same as every other video game. Like, not everything. Not everything needs to live forever. Like, it's a weird criticism, or it's a weird, the backlash is already kind of starting. I'm like, everything falls off.
Yeah.
Like, what else made it to this height?
Well,
almost nothing on Earth.
Well, in 2016, almost nothing stays in anyone's vernacular past the hour it happens.
Yeah.
Like, people watch a movie and it's gone. They watch a TV show and it's gone, and they're back to holding
It's like
their mirror up to their
the game
face.
made $10 million a day, but only for 10 days.
Yeah.
Well, so the mobile business is
I made
very,
that number up, by the way.
Sure. The mobile business is very volatile.
Yeah.
You have these hit games that hit really big, but then they vanish almost as quickly as they came.
Yeah.
You mentioned Draw Something. Angry Birds was a big hit, but then Rovio really wasn't able to turn that into a sustainable business. They couldn't break free from Angry Birds.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is stuff like Minecraft. Like that's
an example of something that does have staying power.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that is, for the most part, like, they got your $20 once, and then a lot of people didn't pay ever again. So it's a slightly different business model, because this is effectively free to play. People are finding ways to give it money to keep the experience going longer. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that Mario is the only Nintendo franchise that outsells Pokemon. So there's Mario, then there's Pokemon, and then there's Zelda and the other properties. And Mario and Pokemon are way, way ahead of every other Nintendo property. So my point is that Nintendo doesn't really have a lot of cards to play if they want to even try to match the success of Pokemon Go with their own.
And their two games, this fall, are Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing, which
they're just not as popular.
They're just not as popular, and I don't think it's not going to be like, oh, they're going to take all the lessons learned from this and adapt it to that. And I'm like, well, no, that's not.
But it's also it's like when The Force Awakens didn't beat Avatar at the box office. They were like, oh, I guess we'll only be the third best performing movie of all time.
That's true.
No, I think even Niantic or anybody in the world did not expect we knew Pokemon Go would be big. Nobody knew it would be this big. Not a single person in the world.
I promise you that even though Pokemon Company is not Nintendo, Nintendo is having meetings furiously and frantically right now to change, and expand their plans for mobile over the next 12 months as a result of what's happening this week, for sure. And I do think, Animal Crossing is never going to be as big as Pokemon, but that game could set the App Store on fire if they did it right.
Yeah,
we're getting some signals that it's going to be some weird side story game or something that talks to or connects with the console game or handheld game. But if they did a full, proper Animal Crossing on mobile, that'd be a cash machine
for
too.
5 minutes every couple hours.
Yeah.
Well, and it's that's where Tomo failed. We all thought Tomo was going to start updating and be more like Tomodachi Life, where it was like, oh, you've got a town, oh, you've got an apartment. You can actually thematically change your living environment in Tomodachi Life. And in Miitomo, they're just like, guess what? There's a new scarf in the store today. Can you win it?
They can still do that stuff, but it's just too slow.
It's too slow. It's too late. They just added an update to Miitomo a couple days ago, because I still poke around with it every couple of days just for those points that you get for My Nintendo and stuff like that, which is, I believe, the definition of insanity is when you do something over and over and over and again and expect results. So I think that there's room to expand that, but they need to really get it get something big enough out the gate that it works. And Pokemon Go, while being full of problems and sort of a thin experience, has enough there to get people out and playing it. I don't know if you'll ever replicate that connectivity you have of like everyone in the world coming to one place again, because that's very specifically
sort of singular.
It is much smoother now than it was even right at launch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you are one of those people that are not playing Pokemon Go and are a little tired of hearing about it, there is a Chrome extension called Pokegon that will just wipe it out of your internet browsing existence.
Don't do that.
Why not Pokemon No? That's what they should have called it.
That one's good too. That one's good too.